Hi everyone. So I thought as well another key concept that kind of falls and is directly related to neoliberalism is the concept and ideology of globalisation. So we probably all have a better understanding of what globalisation is, or we have our own working definitions inside ourselves that we already kind of know and we refer to when we hear it in conversation. And that's how words work. We have our own understanding, and we create meaning through talking with people about concepts. So globalisation, so if I just do a quick a Google search for globalisation, most of the sources that come up are media sources, they're not scholarly, and they're mainly talking about things like trade, finance, fiscal policy. They're very economics related. So what I want to kind of come up with in relation to this assignment is kind of put it over to you. So I'll give you my working definition of globalisation that may make it a bit easier for you all to kind of start having your own, if you don't already have your own, or fine tune your own. So one of the really economic definitions of globalisation that I find a bit dull, which comes from the BBC, the thing about definitions about these sorts of ideologies is that there is no right or wrong answer. They're always changing. People are always arguing over this. Everyone has their own opinion. So we use scholarship to kind of create our own hybrid definition that works for our essay and how we understand the world. That's the way in which we do research, to kind of make sense and fill the gaps in our own knowledge. So the BBC says here, globalisation means that the world is becoming interconnected by trade and culture exchange. So obviously that's very economic, very trade related, very political related. The way in which I would explain globalisation here would be, we can think of globalisation as a set of processes that relates to the simultaneous kind of shrinking of the globe in terms of communication, people being able to talk more, digital technologies, the quickness of manufacturing, but also the kind of the growth of the world as well, in terms of just advances. It kind of works. The world gets smaller, but it also gets bigger at the same time. So whilst, say, in like the 19th century, we may have had like national companies, right? We all know national companies that existed in the 19th and early 20th century, right? So globalization refers to big corporations, like multinationals with subsidiaries in many countries. So that's looking at it in terms of like an economic kind of financial perspective, but it definitely applies to social work and human services. So how do you think that globalization affects human services? So keeping globalization in mind, we can see that neoliberalism is intrinsically related. They both kind of feed off each other. So globalization can be seen as something that pushes a neoliberalist ideology, or as a result of a neoliberalist ideology. So it's up to you. Like, tell me what you think. What do you think your working definition of globalization is in regards to human services? What was I going to say? Globalization can also be seen as like the freer movement of people around the world in terms of travel, immigration, things like refugeeism. That also relates to globalization. That's always been happening, but it happens on a different type of scale because of the media now. So there's more awareness. There's also a greater dependence on the global economy, right? So it's less to do with, say, Australia's economy and more to do with Australia's relationship with a global economy, like the linking of the world. I hope that makes sense. They're hard concepts to understand and to explain. Like, I'm going to leave it with you and kind of see what you think in terms of working definitions of globalization. Just do some research into it and kind of see what you think. Okay, thank you.